Hi everyone, so recently on a live stream I made this card which we called a 6x6 diamond twister card. So you open it up like that and it's like a patchwork quilt inside, and this was kind of one of the more complicated ways of decorating it. It's actually a really simple card. It looks way more complicated than it actually is, and I just did this mechanism on the front kind of where it kind of slots into there, so it kind of holds itself shut. Also on this one I didn't put a back on it, and I think I prefer it with a back on it, but anyway I just wanted to leave this like this so that you can see, because I've already put on the back my white piece. It does stand up well, even though it looks like it doesn't stand up. It does, when you've got it up, it does actually stand up fine. So yeah, so that's that. And then in the actual live stream we did one with a back on it, and I made a mistake when I was decorating it. So we've got a completely different way of decorating it on the front here. So as you can see, that's that one. This is this one. So I've done it completely differently. And then on the inside, it's decorated more like a pop-up explosion card. Yeah, it's a bit like that, an explosion pop-up card, whatever it's called. And I feel like I don't like this way of decorating because it makes it simpler, but I feel like I kind of want this to be folded because I want it to be like an explosion card. So anyway, so today we're going to decorate it differently again, and this is the edited version of the live stream. So if you didn't want to watch the live stream, then this is the one for you. It's going to be, you've got your 3 different versions there, so you can kind of see other ways of doing it. The way I'm doing it today is way simpler. I have done this way of decorating as a 5x7 and it worked really, I thought it worked really well. So yeah, so let's get into it. So for today's card I'm going to be using my mum's The Word kit. Now this is already available as a digital kit on DRK Crafts, but I have sent this off as of me recording this video, so hopefully by the time this goes up it will be live. I sent this off to be published yesterday, so this should hopefully be available on Amazon now as a paper pad. So these are the papers. I've deliberately done them now just in time for Mother's Day because all the sentiments in the back are Mother's Day themed, mainly anyway. And all of these, the idea of this was to make it watercolory. So these are not sharp images, because when you do a watercolour it's not sharp and crisp. It's got that kind of soft watercolory look. So just bear that in mind if you get it and go, oh, they're not very crisp. Because if you've noticed, when you get to the pages where the patterns are, they're crisp. It's just the watercolour, like the stripes, it is really like soft, and it is supposed to be like that. So that's the 2 books. You've got I think this was an A4, and then you've got your 8.5 by 8.5 paper pad. So I'm going to be using those papers today. Okay, so your 2 base pieces that you need one piece that's 6x6, and that's not going to get scored. And then you need one piece that is 6 by 12, and on this piece you're going to score at 3 inches and at 9 inches. Okay, so once you've done those 2 score lines, you then want to take your ruler, and along the top you're just going to mark halfway at 6 inches and also along the bottom at 6 inches. Then you want to turn your card round, and down the score line you want to mark at 3 inches, and along this score line here you're going to mark at 3 inches. It basically is half of an explosion, pop-up explosion card. That's literally what it is. So it's really not a difficult card. It looks way more tricky than it actually is. So then we're going to take our ruler. I'm actually going to use a different ruler because this one actually goes right down to the ground, and we're going to score from your 3-inch mark to your top left hand corner, and then from your 3-inch mark there to this 3-inch mark here. And then we're also going to do the same on this side, so we're going to score from that mark there down to the bottom right, and from that mark there down to this mark here. Now it's really up to you which way round you want your folds to be. So on this one I've got it so that it's kind of this way, so I've got a fold in this top left and a fold in the bottom right. Whereas on this one I did it the other way round. So if you can see, I would have had a fold if I'd put a back piece on it. If you imagine that's on a back piece like that, my folds would have been in the top right and the bottom left, and that is the way I'm going to do it this time round. So because of that, because I've scored this like this, I'm just going to turn it over, and instantly now my fold is in the top right and the bottom left. And so yeah, depending on how you want to do it, as you can see my score lines for the folded area are here. So to start off with, we're just going to fold this in to make it into a gatefold card. And you want to make sure that they meet in the middle, they don't overlap. So you end up with that, and then you just want to fold them back on themselves, because part of that, half of that line is going to be a mountain, half of it's going to be a valley. Okay, so then what we want to do is we want to bring these in. So these lines here are going to be valley folds. Now if you've got really thick card like I have, then you are going to struggle a little bit with it, but just kind of give it a bit of a coax, and hopefully it will go. And then you want to burnish it into position, and you will really need to give it a bit of a go, because the chances are your diagonal files aren't bang on. So if they're not bang on, then you are going to end up with your card wanting to fight you a little bit. So that's like that. And then we're going to do the same with this one. So again, I'm just going to coax it in. The reason I'm turning it round is because I'm right-handed, and so I can't really score very well. Get it lined up if it's on that side. So I'm going to bring them both down, just make sure that's definitely lined up along the bottom, and then just give it a real good burnish. So you should end up with that. And as you can see, if you extended this line and extended this line and extended this line and extended that line, you basically end up with the explosion card. So yeah, it's literally two folds off, two corners off an explosion card. Okay, so we're going to start with the piece on the back. Now I'm not sure what my sentiment's going to be yet, because I've already made several Mother's Day cards, so I'm probably not going to do Mother's Day cards, but I don't know, I'm not sure. So I'm just going to leave it blank. So I've got one piece of white that, well, I'll start with the matte. One piece of matte that is 5 3/4 by 5 3/4. One piece of white that's 5 1/2 by 5 1/2, and that is going to go on your base card like that. My matte card is actually slightly smaller because that was the piece I had. So normally you'd have a slightly smaller border around the outside. So I'm going to go ahead now and stick that down. So then we're going to go ahead and stick this onto the back of our card. So I'm going to turn this over, and then I'm just going to put some glue on the back, or red tape, whatever you want, but as long as it's strong. So I've turned it over so my white is facing the desk, and then we're just going to go ahead, put this on, make sure it lines up with the edges of our square card. I'm just going to open it up and give it a good press down. Okay, so that's what you should end up with. So then what we want to do is, I'm going to start with the inside, because that's kind of easier to start with. So you will need another piece of matte that is 5 3/4 by 5 3/4, and then you need a piece of pattern that's 5 1/2 by 5 1/2. And what we're actually going to do with this is, I'm going to put this down onto in fact I'm going to turn it over so I haven't got the shiny side, it's easier for everyone to see. So I'm going to put my piece of matte down on my card like this. I'm going to take a ruler and a pencil, and then what we're going to do is, you can measure it if you want, but I find it easier to do it by eye. So I'm literally seeing where this fold line is here, and I'm bringing my ruler in slightly so it looks like it's going to be a similar kind of border to what I have going around the edges here. And I'm just going to draw a line, and I'm going to very carefully, without moving it, turn the whole thing round and do the same on this side. If you want to measure it, you can, but I find it's more accurate if you do it by eye. Whenever I measure it, I always end up with it sort of going off slightly wonky or whatever. I mean, sometimes it does do it this way, but I find it's a bit more reliable. So that's what you end up with. So if we just turn it back around again. So now we can go ahead and cut that off. So you should end up with that. Now you want to keep these corners because you're going to need those. So I'm going to put those off to one side for the moment. Now this should now fit nicely on here, which it does. So before we go ahead and stick that down, we want to do our pattern. So with the pattern, again, I'm just going to turn this over, and then we're going to put this on like this. Now obviously this is not the way you're going to stick it, but if you lie it down like this on top, get your even border here and here, and then we're going to do the same again. So I'm just going to get a ruler, just get that lined up nicely. I think about there. Get your ruler and your pencil, and again just line up those edges so that your border looks about even. Draw a line, and then we do the same on the other side. I'm just going to turn the whole mat round because it makes it easier. It means I'm not going to drop anything, I'll move anything even, not drop anything. And then we'll do the same over here. And then when you've done that, you just need to go ahead again and cut that off, but again keep your triangles. So now you should find that your pattern piece fits really nicely onto your mat. So you can go ahead and stick that down. And then I'm going to go ahead and stick this inside of here. Okay, so that's your inside piece done. So now we just need to sort out obviously these corners here. So again, I would do the same thing. So lay your corners on. I'm doing this the wrong side for now. Actually, let's do the bottom one because it's over this side. Lay it on. You can turn it around if you want to, assuming that your corners are all equal. This one's a bit more tricky because obviously you need to hold it in place. You can, if you want to, just make a little mark top and bottom where you think it's going to be, and then lay your ruler on top. Okay, so you should end up with a nice little triangle and then a little slither like that. You don't need the slither, that can go in the bin. And then if you take your other triangle and lay it on the top like that, you can literally draw across it, and then you know that's going to fit. And what we're going to do as well is we're not actually going to stick these down straight away because these triangles will be useful for our other sections. So there's our two mat triangles. You can just try them, make sure they kind of fit, and they do. They look fine. So that one's fine, and this one up here is also fine. So those are great. Now we just need to take our patterns, and if we do the same again, so I'm going to turn that over, put that on top like that, put our ruler in place. It's a bit easier with this because I was struggling with the mirror card because it is quite chunky, as it were, and it has a bit of a natural curve to it. So that's that, and then we're going to take this one, I'm going to put them face to face. It doesn't really matter too much for this, but I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to cut through both of them at the same time. So then these should fit nicely inside the mat, and they do, so that's great. Again, I'm not going to stick these down just yet because these can help us with the next part. So what we want to do next is you're going to need in total 4 pieces of mat that are 2 3/4 by 5 3/4, and 4 pieces of pattern that are 2 1/2 by 5 1/2. So I've gone for more of this same pattern here, and then a different pattern for the other pieces. So with these, one thing you can do if you want is you can lay them down on here and then do the whole ruler thing, which I think I am going to do. But first of all, before I do that, I'm just going to grab my triangles, the ones we've cut down to the right size, and with it like that, you want to go ahead, make sure your triangles are on the right way round, and you can just go ahead and just draw a line now and then you know that that's going to be fine. One thing you have to bear in mind when you're doing these is that normally when we cut things, we would put, if we're doing two together, we would put them face to face to cut them. But with this, you don't want to do that, because this here is going to be the same as this here. Okay, so the inside is literally the same way round, it's just rotated. Okay, so if you want to cut more than one together, you need to lay them the same way round. So back, front, back, front, okay, and cut them like that. But before we do that, I want to go ahead and add our other one in. So I'm just going to grab this, turn this round, and it is a bit more tricky because this does want to move around, but anyway, and then we're going to take this and I'm going to draw a line on the other side of that score line, which will be my other section, and then I'll end up just with like a slither that is left. Okay, so then I can cut down these two lines and that will give me the right shape for those side panels. Okay, so I've got my two pieces, so we are going, so these are actually going to go for the front because, as I said, I've just done that there, so this is actually going to be for the front section. So that's for there, and that will fit there. Okay, so I need another piece. If I take this, rotate it, that fits nicely there. So I need one more piece that is cut like this. So because of that, I'm going to take one of these, I'm going to turn both of them over. I'm going to lay that on there, and I'm just literally going to draw along the line I've already done. Okay, so there we go, that's my front piece is done. I've written front on so that I am aware that is the front. So then with the inside pieces, so I've still got these two left, which are from here, which is fine, we can use those later. So for these pieces, what we're going to do is we can use those as a template for the inside. Now, if I put that on there like that, that's the right way up, okay? So that's the way up we want them to be. So if we were to lay that onto there, we could draw a line, but I'm just going to do like this, turn it over and do it this way around. So we lay that, so you put them back to back, and you are then going to draw your little line. I'm going to write on this one inside, so I know it's the inside, and then I'm also going to take this, lay this on. This doesn't really matter so much because it's just a triangle, so, and it should be even, it's not an odd triangle, so it shouldn't really matter which way around you have it, but anyway. So that's that one. So I'm going to put my two fronts together now, like that, and then we can cut this one, and if we want to we can cut this one. If we're going to cut, I'm not going to cut them together just in case I'm getting it wrong. I'm going to do them separately. So let's just cut this one down, and then we'll repeat the whole process on that other piece. Okay, so we've done all our inside pieces, we've done all our front pieces. So now what we're going to do is go ahead and cut these. Now, you do need to decide what you want to go where. So I'm going to have these two front pieces, which is a pattern that goes all the way across. These are going to be on the front, so these need to go with these pieces. These are going to be on the inside. So the reason why you want this is because obviously your angles are slightly differently. So you're going to go ahead again, lay your pieces on, do your angles just like you've done with all the other pieces, and then cut them out. Okay, so I've gone ahead and done the front, and obviously, as I said before, you have to, because I wanted that pattern to kind of carry on, I had to be very careful about making sure it's the right way up. So just make sure, use your mat pieces and that will guide you. And I've also cut down the little triangles. So now we just need to go ahead and stick these all on. So I'm going to stick these two down, and then I'll come back to you and we'll stick some more bits down. Okay, so I've gone ahead and stuck those down, so now we just need to go ahead and stick them in the relevant places, and then we'll come to the triangles in a minute. Okay, so I went ahead and stuck all my triangles down because I figured you probably don't need to see me do that. And then what we're going to do is these, I'm going to put the pattern ones on the front here, like that. And then these inside ones are all going to be the actual like floral pattern. So I'm going to put these in. It's a bit of a puzzle trying to get them all in. I'm going to put them all in here, and then this one down the bottom. Okay, so once you've stuck all of your corners down, you should end up with that. And then we're going to go ahead and decorate. So I've got a birthday wishes, which is out of the A4 pack. And that is going to go on the front there. And I'm just going to stick it half on one side, half on the other. So half on one side and then not on the other. And then I've also cut out a few of the flowers. And I'm going to put them on here. And I'm hoping to be able to do them into bunches of 3, like little sets of 3. So if I do like a... that one, and maybe like a lilac-y one, and then maybe the same sort of thing here. That kind of thing like that, maybe. Or maybe a smaller one. So I'm just going to have a bit of a play now and stick these down. And then in the middle, I can either put another greeting or I can actually put my message, but I've already put a message on the back, so I think I shall put another greeting in the middle. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Okay, so I went ahead and added the birthday wishes on the front, and I just attached it to this side because I noticed there was a bit of a stain on the back of the card. And I've had a little flower on the top and the bottom, and then when you open it up, you've then got these little bouquets that open up. I haven't put anything in the middle yet, wasn't quite sure what to put on, so I thought I'd leave it as it is. Obviously you can decorate more if you want to. And yeah, and then obviously you've got space on the back to write. So I think I prefer this way of decorating it. It's quite calm. It obviously takes quite a bit to do. Whatever you put on these pieces here, just make sure they don't clash. Like here, there was a little bit, it was getting a bit close, but they do miss each other. And also make sure that when it's closed, you haven't got any bits sticking out in the wrong place. So there you go. So there's 3 different ways to decorate basically the same card. So there you go. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial today. Please don't forget to go and check out my various paper pads, whether it be Rose Garden, Mum's the Word, or Donut Time, or any of the others I've got on Amazon. If you put in Iced Images paper pads, they should all come up. If you want the digital kits, all of these are available on DRK Crafts, and then the Donut Time and the Rose Garden is available on Ko-fi as well. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss a video, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!